Thanks for being part of our program. We appreciate it. I haven't talked about this in a while, but it's been so long, I think many of you probably have not heard us talk about it. I mean, that's what happens after you've been doing a radio show for as long as we have. But, you know, our show has been on now for, well, just on the local station in L.A. alone. It's in its 11th year, and we've been doing this particular version of our show for over 13 years. So there's bound to be things we've discussed over the years. You probably missed them the first time around, and in fact, I'm sure there are a lot of opinions about this issue because it just doesn't get any better. Here's the thing. First of all, as you all know, I live alone, and living alone means I don't have to deal with a lot of the issues that people deal with when they live with somebody else. And I happen to love that. If I am with someone else, if I am dating someone else, what they do at their house is their business. If they want to date other people, their business. They want to spend a certain amount of money on furnishings, their business. If they want to do something tasteless with their home, their problem. And if they want to keep various keepsakes of prior relationships, why should I care? Why should I care? Problem is, I own the house, and if I ever were to get in a relationship where ultimately somebody moved in, decisions would have to be made. I once had a woman who wanted to move in with me. She never did, because I wouldn't allow it. But over the years, she had amassed 2 collections. One was a collection, and just to give you an idea of when she grew up, okay, She was a child in the 70s, into the 80s, and she kept herself an entire collection of little glass miniature representations of, hold on to your hat, the Smurfs. And over the years, she collected more and more of these to the point where she had bought herself a piece of furniture placed in the corner of her living room, all lit up. Each shelf in this piece of furniture was enclosed by glass and wood, each shelf lit individually. And it was full, and I mean full, of these little glass Smurfs. Bigger ones, smaller, and even cuter ones. And before I even agreed to ever move in with her, she told me point blank, if I were ever going to move with you, my Smurfs are coming with me. She also let me know that many of these Smurfs had been gifts from various guys she dated who knew she liked the Smurfs. And so she added them to her collection over the years. And if you ever cared to get into a conversation with her about this, she could tell you which person gave her which Smurfs. So in reality, she probably started with a collection of 20 or 30 of these and ended up with 100 of them. Mostly gifts from other people, primarily boyfriends or her ex-husband or people like that. So that was one thing. She also had a collection of stuffed animals. Now, my experience with women is that women do not buy stuffed animals. Ever. Stuffed animals are gifts from guys. They either are gifts that go with a bouquet on Valentine's Day or birthday. There was that day you went to the carnival and he won one for you, in many cases a big one, maybe a big stuffed tiger or a big stuffed bear or a big stuffed dolphin or whatever. Now, here was the creepy thing. I went to visit this woman's apartment, and her bedroom was replete with stuffed animals, all of which were given to her by ex-boyfriends, aspiring ex-boyfriends, the ex-husband. And when I got into her bed with her, the eyes of these stuffed animals were all staring at me as if all of her past was looking at me while I was banging her. Now think about this. Seriously speaking, you're in bed with somebody and the stuffed animals of every guy she ever dated are surrounding you. They're not in a box in the garage. They're not hidden under the bed. She actually told me that these were anthropomorphic beings. Look it up. They all had names and personalities in her mind, and that's why she couldn't bear to just stuff them in a box. They had to be sitting on a shelf, looking at her, and she looking at them, paying attention to them. Each one had a story and a memory attached. Now, I strongly suspect, although it never got this far because she never moved in anyway, and that was never going to happen, but I'm sure that along with all this other stuff, the Smurfs, the stuffed animals, I'm sure she had that box in the closet, and you know the box I'm talking about. I call it the Museum of Past Relationships. This is a museum with hardcore proof that this woman was hot and in demand. Letters, cards, photographs with memories of vacations she took with other guys. Weekends she went away and banged away in a hotel room in front of a fireplace somewhere. Mementos like ticket stubs to concerts that meant something to her. Oh, remember the time we went to see Elton John and Billy Joel? I have the stubs right here. Women hang on to this stuff. So on the one hand, they demand monogamy. They demand faithfulness. They demand commitment. They demand engagements, promise rings, engagement rings. They demand marriage. And yet they want to keep evidence of their past where they can see it. It might be stored in a closet wrapped with a little bow, but it's there. And I say, if you're really serious about commitment, it's time to take that stuff out to the curb. Because it's not coming into my house. Another reason why I really should be living alone and should not have people moving into my house. Because I don't need to see the mementos or the memories of the other guys who boned you. And I do not see why, if I am so important to you, and I need to be totally committed and devoted to you, I do not see why some square footage of my house needs to be devoted to a museum of past guys who laid some pipe with you. Trust me, more women are like this than not, and they keep the mementos of everything in the past. They do. And how can you be in a committed relationship and insist on keeping this crap around? I have no idea, but women do it. I wouldn't allow it in my house. Would not allow it. If somebody tried moving that into my house, you get one warning. This is leaving my house, and if it doesn't leave my house, it will be set ablaze. It's that simple. And again, another good reason why I should be living alone, because if you're living in your own place and you're renting your own closet space to hold that stuff, or you are paying for your own living room space to put the Smurfs up there or whatever, then it's none of my business. But if you were to move into my place, that stuff goes. Do you think I'm being unreasonable here?
Like it. 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866.
I actually got called out on being a listener of yours the other night.
Love it.
At a bar, and this girl comes up to me, start talking to her. She goes, "Don't you want to buy me a drink?" She goes, "Sweetie, I never buy a girl a drink until I bang her." She goes, "You're a Tom Leykis listener, aren't you?" I go, "Yes, sir."
It's the Tom Leykis Show.
It's the Tom Leykis Show. At 1-800-5800-TOM. That is our telephone number. Margaret, on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
Do you care, Margaret?
I do care. You know what? I absolutely adore you, and I know you hear that every single day, but my heart is, like, racing right now, and I don't get nervous. So
Here we are. It's you and me now.
Well, I was actually calling in response to what you're talking about. I think women that do that, it has a lot to do with their self-esteem. I think they need validation that once upon a time they were desirable, or that they are desirable, just in case things don't work out with their current relationship. It's kind of like a scrapbook kind of.
But there's something wrong with a woman who needs that kind of validation. You see, if I've chosen you and you move into my house, how much more validation do you need?
Well,
and if you do need more validation, you are effed up and you need to get out of my house.
No, completely. Well, that's the thing. Back when a few years ago, I mean, my self-esteem was a little bit less than it is now. So I did keep a lot of things. And then it got to a point, I mean, it's one of those things where you're not even expected to bring, blankets, furniture. You're moving into someone else's house. And a lot of these women think that they're entitled to bring it with them because they're starting, they're bringing their end, their side with you, and you're kind of merging. But at the same time, you're merging together. It's like a whole different entity. So I think that women that do actually, I agree. I think there's totally something wrong, and it has a lot to do with having a low self-esteem and needing reassurance that they are, desirable. And it's horrible. And it's for the woman to expect you to welcome all these, little trinkets into your house. Number one, you're a guy. I mean, come on. Are you serious? I mean, number two, the woman's probably old enough to where she doesn't need stuffed animals. I don't remember the last time I had a stuffed animal, and I'm 28.
Well, a lot of women do, let me tell you.
Yeah, well, they don't need it. But I agree with, I hate to say this, but I agree with everything you say, right down from the littlest thing. I mean, I have a guy friend that I've been quote-unquote friends with for about a year and a half now, and he and I have a better relationship than any married or couple that I have ever met in my entire life. It just works, and if he ever said, I want to bring this into your house, if I didn't want it, I'd say no. And he would be like, okay, I get it, But I wouldn't even ask him to bring any of my stuff, with the exception of my little puppy. But but he likes the dog, so.
Yeah, well, you're lucky with that there.
Yes. So I just wanted to respond to that and say I completely agree, and there is something seriously, not seriously wrong, but, up in the head that's a little bit off, So.
Well, that's what I think, and that's how I'm going to treat it.
Well, you definitely should. You're a very wise man.
Well, thank you for that.
And I'm glad I finally got to speak with you because I've been listening. My guy friend turned me on to you like maybe 3 months ago, and you are on my station. 97.1 is on my station all hours, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Whenever I turn on my car, forget it. You're always on. So I want to say I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate the call.
All right. Have a good night, Tom.
All right. You too. It's 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Justin on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Tom, how are you?
Great.
First off, I have a question about this, but I was wondering if you'd heard anything about the woman from New York who was looking for the high-rolling guys who, in response to a posting on Craigslist, the guy...
Yeah, we did a whole show about it. We did a whole show about it.
Oh, I remember, but do you know what happened about her?
No, we don't know her identity. It never came out.
Okay. But my question is, I've been with my girlfriend for about 7 months, and I don't know if we're getting serious or not, but she's 23, and she was engaged, but the guy cheated on her with multiple partners throughout the U.S., and she still got the engagement ring. How can I look like a
Well, first of all, I don't know how new you are to the show. I know you're calling from Boise, Idaho, so you're probably new to the show. Are you aware of my opinion of having a girlfriend at age 20?
You're against it.
Correct.
Yeah. But how do I go about telling her that we should pawn it versus not?
Well, if you insist on having a girlfriend, although I don't recommend it, you've got to be a man, step up to the plate, point blank. That's not going to be in your house.
Yeah. Okay. I just don't want to look like a bad guy to her. But
Stop worrying about looking like a bad guy. That's one of the reasons I tell you at 20 you're too young to have a relationship. Women don't respect you unless you are the bad guy.
In this year, the bad guy. It's just that's she showed it to me, and it's in this little velvet-covered box. And
I'm a bad guy, and women love me for it.
I know, dude. You get more chicks than anyone I've ever known. All right,
so
man.
Maybe you need to take a page out of my book, son.
Do you have a book? Where can I buy it?
You're hearing it right now.
All right. And I can... You have your radio show posted online on your website?
Well, do you have a radio?
Yeah, but you're
Try
not
tuning
on.
in. Well, we're on when we're on, but there are podcasts, there's live streaming on the Internet. Believe me, this show is available any number of ways.
Yeah. All right, thank you,
But
sir.
the bottom line here is you have to be a man, and that means you got to be a bad guy.
Yeah.
Stop worrying about not being a good guy.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate the call. 1-800-5800-TOM. You know he's not going to do anything of the kind. Let us say hello here to Helen on the Tom Leykis Show.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you, Tom?
Great.
Good. Good to hear it. I just wanted to put my 2 cents in. The first caller that you had on the subject, she's absolutely right. Sometimes it is validation, but, you need to get over it. And the only pictures I keep are prom pictures, that kind of stuff. And that's just, because it's like things you do in your life. But other than the personal pictures when you're out, my ex-husband, and you're out on vacations and whatnot, those pictures need to go.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. So all the professional pictures, proms, that kind of milestone in your life, keep it just as part of high school. It's part of your life, and that's, you just grow on it, you look back and that kind of stuff. But the memory parts, the vacations and all that, that's got to go, because who wants to look at, somebody else? I didn't say I got rid of mine, because I like to look at pictures because I'm in the picture. But I haven't got rid of a lot of my stuff, but I don't pull it out to show him either. My new husband. I don't pull all that out to show him.
Why do you have it?
Because I'm in the pictures.
Yeah, but that's not the point. That's not the point.
It's not the memories of me and that guy. It's just memories of me and what I did in my life. I could care less who was in the picture with me. That's
but he's going to care.
That's why I don't pull it out and show him. Those are pictures for me.
And what happens when he goes through your closet, or he's cleaning up, or whatever he's doing, and he finds that box?
Oh, then he finds it. But it's not really a box. It's just, part of my pictures and stuff. But, again, I don't flaunt them in front of anybody. They're just for me. And eventually I probably will throw them away.
What are you waiting for?
Spring cleaning day, I guess.
You know you could do this right now.
Yeah, I could.
But you won't.
Yeah, I will. I will, because I am, like the first caller said, it's a lot of clutter. I mean, if you have it embedded in your mind, it's there. You don't really need a picture. You know what you did throughout your years.
Well, I know you say that, but a lot of women know what they did over the years. They keep that box anyway, as you know. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Here is Alfie on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Great.
Well, the story you're saying just happened to me about a couple of weeks ago. Cleaning through the garage, found a box of old love letters and some pictures.
So how did you react? What'd you do?
Well, I haven't told her anything yet. The box is still there. Planning a nice way of responding to it, so that's why I called you up. Great subject.
Well, thank you for that.
We've been married for a year now. I have no idea.
You have no idea what to do?
No, I had no idea she has these things. I mean, we've been married for a year.
So what do you plan to do?
Well, that's why I called you. What do you think I should do?
How do you feel about it? Do you like that being in your house?
Oh, I don't.
Well, then you have to tell her.
Should I just tell her, or should I just burn it, or have like a barbecue and just show her that it's burning or something? I don't know. I want to do it in a...
Well, I don't be a drama queen about it. I mean, if you want to dispose of it and just say it disappeared, I don't know if that's ethical to take somebody else's property. Because honestly, I like confronting these issues. If it were me, I wouldn't burn it. If it were me, I'd go up to her and say, what's this doing in my house?
I see.
But that's certainly an option, to just simply burn it. But if you burn it and then you tell her you burned it, you're going to have more trouble than you need. It would be just easier for that box to get completely lost. You would say you lost it when you were moving, or who knows where it went, or you don't know it. You didn't know the box existed, so you know nothing about it. You could do that. But that wouldn't be my style.
I guess I'll just confront her, I guess.
I mean, who knows? She may have forgotten it, and she may happily get rid of it. But if she starts fighting you about it, this is going to tell you something you need to know.
Exactly. I wish I had listened to you earlier. I wouldn't get married at age 25. But
of course you wouldn't. You wouldn't get married at any age.
Exactly. All right, Tom, can you take me out of African tribal style?
African tribal style, here you go. It's 1-800-5800-TOM. That is our telephone number. Let's see if we can pick up line 3 and say hello to Christina on the Tom Leykis Show.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi. This is Christina.
I just said that.
Sorry. I wanted to make a comment on that box that you mentioned in the closet. I just wanted to say that I did actually have an album just like that, Memories. And as soon as I met my current husband, we've been married for a year now, that was out in the trash. So it's true, girls do have that. And as soon as I met the one, it was out in the trash. So I think if you're seriously in love with that person and know that that's the person for you, everything else you can just toss away. And the way that my whole past, is clear to him and everything. So I think that's the way that the old relationship could work if it's honest, and if your heart is in it, then I think you give it 100%.
So you think that box has to go?
Oh, definitely. That needs to go in the trash.
Hang on a second. Let me get Carrie on the air. Carrie, you don't agree with Christina. Why not?
I just don't. I think that what happens through your life is it's kind of like keeping a photo album. And as long as those feelings don't go into your relationship, what's wrong with having a box of mementos that's in a garage that you don't look at?
Well, what's the point of having it if it's not in your life and if it's out of your heart? What's the point of holding on to it if it could hurt the person that's in your present life right now?
But that's the point. I think that if you have a mature relationship, that it shouldn't hurt them. I mean, people have relationships that are gone and over. You can't take an eraser and erase what's been in your heart, and it's part of your life. It's part of.
So, as a man, if I choose to keep the kind of mementos that men like to keep, if I choose to keep naked photos of hot chicks from my past, you'd be okay with that, dear?
I absolutely would.
Really? Naked photos of ex-girlfriends, ex-wives, you would have no problem with it?
My deceased husband he traveled extensively, and he was in Europe, and I know that you're a world traveler, and he had photos of his ex-girlfriends that were walking topless on the beach and whatnot, and you know what? That was part of his life.
No, I'm not talking about people who walk topless on the beach. I'm talking about pictures I took in the bedroom. Women up on my stripper pole. You would have no problem with that, right?
Well, as long as they didn't come into my world, no, I wouldn't have a problem.
Well, they're in your world. There's a box in your house with those pictures.
They're in the garage.
And maybe once in a while when you're out of town, I go to that box with a sweat sock and a and a back massager.
That's what has. Yeah, but that's the same thing as to me. That's the same thing as looking at a Playboy. And you know what?
But it's not, because these are women who I've had sex with, unlike the women in Playboy.
Well, you know what, though? If he wants to reminisce, let him reminisce. As long as he's not doing it in person, what do I care?
Christina, how would you feel about that?
I think she would actually be disturbed by that if it actually happened, because she's just thinking of it if it were to happen, you know. But if it actually happens in your home, you definitely would be bothered by it. And the men, they wouldn't appreciate you having a box of memories or stubs from movies or what places you've gone. I definitely think they wouldn't appreciate you having that, because if you're in a relationship, you need to maintain and be in that relationship. You don't need to worry about what you did in the past or the memories that you had. That needs to be out of your mind and out of your heart. Of course, you had those feelings, but those need to be gone because you have a relationship. You need to focus on that.
And I appreciate the difference of opinion, but I'm telling you that my late husband had pictures of his ex-girlfriends that were actually in the house, not in the garage. They were in boxes and they were put away, but they were in the house. And I had no problem with it because that was part of his history, which made him be the person that I fell in love with and I had a relationship with. Mm-hmm. And for me, it just means that was a part of his history. And I would, if he looked at me and said, oh, why are you keeping this card from your first love in high school? Well, because that was a part of what made me be who I am today. Do I love that man? No. Do I? I look back at him with fondness. But I've seen him at reunions and whatnot.
Why are you looking back at him at all if you love your husband so much?
Well, number one, he's my late husband. But number two, like I said, they're just a part of my life. It's just
yes, but when you have a husband, he doesn't want you looking back with fondness on other people.
You don't look back at anybody in your life, your ex-wife, with fondness?
Actually, I have moved on. That part of my life is over.
I know, but what I'm asking you is if you think...
I'd be more likely to look at naked pictures of chicks I'd gotten it on with in the past.
Well, see, but my point, and we're going to have to agree to disagree on this. My point is not that I'm looking at them going, oh, I'm pining for them, but I look back at that period of my life with fondness, because I would rather have fondness for that than hatred for that. It takes a whole lot.
Well, my attitude about it would be then make your own mortgage payments and use as much of your square footage as you like as your little museum of fondness for people you used to be involved with.
Well, you know, those things can live in your head and make you the person they are, but they shouldn't have to be in your house for you to remember who you've been with or what that person did to make you who you are. That should be in your mind, and that made you who you are, and that's it. That's your past. It shouldn't be living in your house.
Like I said, but there's a part of me that says, you know what, there's a couple little trinkets. It's not like I have them displayed all over the house.
Mm-hmm.
Just that there's something in a box in the garage. Yeah. And you know what? When I'm 90 years old, if I can still see, that's something fondly that I can look back at. It has nothing to do with love for my late husband or for somebody that's going to be in my future.
No, I guess it's just the point of considering others' feelings or thinking that might
if it had bothered him, I would have said, you know what, fine. And I don't know that I would have destroyed it, but I certainly wouldn't have kept it in our home.
I just think rather than it coming to that point of it might bother someone or having someone say you should throw it out, I would just do that before anything, because I know that nobody would want to even question or say that. So that I'd rather just throw it out and have it not be an issue and just live happy with the person I'm with and be content. That's it. You don't need to.
All right, Carrie and Christina, I'm running out of time here. I thank you for the call. When I come back, I'm going to tell you a personal story about me. Because I didn't just have to compete with a box full of cards and letters. I had to compete with something really outrageous. And I'll tell you what it is as we continue.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM.
What was that again?
Were you not listening to me, sir?
I couldn't hear a word you were saying.
Well, I couldn't hear a word that you were saying either.
I see. That's great. I like the level of discourse here. It's fantastic.
It's the Tom Leykis Show.
It's the Tom Leykis Show from Hollywood At 1-800-5800-TOM, we are talking about that box of memories that women keep in the closet or in the garage, or the stuffed animals, or the other mementos of previous relationships. Christine, on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, baby.
Hey.
Am I speaking with 1-800-5800-TOM?
You are indeed.
Good deal. Hey, you know what? I want to thank you for your simple logic and appreciated advice.
I'm here to help, darling.
You know what? God's love.
Wait, what? Yeah, we're on the air, dear.
Okay, we need to burn that stuff. And I just appreciate you've got simple logic that's pure. And girls and guys alike need to let go.
Or stop pushing the guy you're with now for a monogamous commitment. Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm competing with that box.
There you go. There you go. It's all about move forward. I mean, are we going to spend our life looking backwards? Or are we going to move forward?
And if you expect me to pay your rent or your mortgage...
Baby, I own my house and the land it sits on.
Wow. I like it.
That doesn't make me all powerful. That just means I need to quit looking backwards also. I got too much clutter, and it's time to move forward.
That's right.
And I appreciate your advice. I'm taking it to heart.
Thank you, darling.
I got way too much clutter, and thank you.
I appreciate the call.
Okay, 1-800-5800-TOM. I appreciate your voice.
I'm here to help, dear.
You got it. Thank you.
All right. There goes Christine on line one. We move on here at 1-800-5800-TOM. Let's say hello here to, Eric on the Tom Leykis Show on line 8. Hello.
Hey, Tom. What's going on?
Not much.
Well, I've had a run-in with this issue. I went against pretty much everything you said about, I been with the same chick for a long time. I have 2 kids and everything. But before all that, I bought my own house and everything. But for a hobby, I train dogs. And when my wife now moved in, she brought all these stuffed animals. I hate these stuffed animals, but I did. So I trained my red heat, but, we'd leave the house. I'd be like, I forgot my cell phone, and I would go back upstairs, and I'd throw some on the ground, and I'd tell my dog to attack these stuffed animals. And, well, in about a week, they were all gone, every one of them. I didn't have to worry about the clutter on my bed or laying next to whoever's love bear. I just couldn't handle it.
Holy cow, really?
Yeah.
I totally agree with you.
I think that's just asinine, and... I agree with everything you say, and, there's an exception. I'm a really good girl, but, guys just need to grow some cojones, I lay down the law, and I feel it's disrespectful to have that box and those books in my house, because I'm not, just like you said, I'm not competing with whatever's in that box or whatever's written in that planner, and I think it's disrespectful, and, my little fenced-in area, there's, highly respected. So
that's outrageous stuff.
Is that insane that I got my dog to attack stuffed animals?
Well, I think that's clever, no doubt about it. But my attitude about it is I paid for all the square footage of my house, whether I'm renting, owning, whatever. It's mine. If you move into my house, I'm going to decide how the property is used.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, 100%. That's I call it my fenced-in area. I have about 15 acres and of a 3,100 square foot house, and it's mine. It's in my name, and she's a guest. At this time we're common law married, but I've never married her because I feel it's a piece of paper, and I'm not a religious person at all. I don't feel that little piece of paper, but I laid it down, Tom. I laid it down before she moved into the house. I said, this is what it's going to be like. This is what's going to happen. And she's respected it so far, and I've had to give her the warning that, she's not, on the same page, then I can do it by myself. I can do all that by myself.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the call. I really do. It's 1-800-5800-TOM. Let's go to Dan on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello, Tom.
Hello, Dan.
How you doing tonight?
Do you care?
Man, I totally care. I consider you as more than a father.
Hey, we can't say that word on the air, much as I'd like to.
Oh, sorry, buddy. I didn't know. Anyways, I just wanted to say thank you first and foremost for all the advice you've given me. I am now single, 24, and having a great time. And I guess what we're talking about is this, formalities aside. I don't know. I mean, I have a whole bunch of, like, journals that I've kept, you know, pictures of girlfriends and whatnot. If I got married, I don't think I'd want to get rid of my journals and all that stuff either, so I don't want to hold the double standard, and I don't know. I just don't think that as long as it's out of the way that it would be that big of a deal.
Well, you do whatever you feel comfortable with. But I got to tell you something. I had to compete with something that was really outrageous. I was involved with somebody at one time who had a boyfriend, in fact, I think a fiancé, who had been murdered. Murdered. Okay? How do you compete with that? This was the love of her life, and he was gunned down right in front of her. I didn't find this out until after we were living together. So in her collection, we not only had the cards and the letters, we had the shirt he used to like to wear that she would wear to feel closer to him. We had the keychain he used to carry that she got him as a gift that she got back. We had every little item. And I am having to compete with the memory of a guy who got gunned down. Can you imagine that? So, of course, I was the big, mean bastard who said, you know what, I can't compete with a dead guy. I can't do it. And so I don't. Our email address is tom@blowmeuptom.com.
The Tom Leykis Show.